to do a bit of mobility now for this week, kind of counteract anything that we've done to our hamstrings yesterday. So we'll do a bit with the hips, a bit with the hamstrings, and a little bit with the lower back here. So everything I'm doing you can modify. And I can show you a couple of modifications, but if you have any kind of bricks or blocks or anything like that at home, you can always use them as well. Don't feel like you have to take any of the postures if they're not working for you. You can back off, and like I said, I'll show you a couple of things you can do along the way. So before we do anything, I really encourage you to sit down on the mat, pause this video, and just take about 5 minutes at the very least to connect with your breath. So do some really nice deep breathing that starts in the belly, and then when you exhale, it recedes from the belly first. So go ahead and pause this now. Don't cheat. And really take a few minutes, and then maybe again on your mat. Good. So welcome back. Hopefully you did that. So we're just going to go ahead and warm up the spine here to start. So go ahead and come to whatever kind of a seat feels comfortable for you. I'm going to start here. I'm going to inhale and bring my 2 arms up overhead. Interlock the fingers. Take a nice deep inhalation and really stretch those arms up to the sky. And that's going to open up the shoulders and open up the chest. And then exhale and just drop my hands over to the left. So my hips are still straight. I'm not really leaning over, I'm just using the spine here. And then when you're ready to inhale again, bring it back to center. And exhale, come on over to the right. And then back to center. And go ahead and let go. And you can do maybe a couple of neck rotations here. A couple of shoulder rolls. Same thing with the wrists, just warming those up. So for everything that we do, I'd encourage you to hold it for about 5 breaths. If that's not working for you, you can always back off of it, like I said in the beginning. But the ideal here is to use this deep belly breathing throughout the whole sequence and hold it for about 5 breaths, because then you'll really get the benefits of the posture. So we're going to come into what's called hare or child's pose. So your big toes are going to touch. If you're not sitting up already, go ahead and sit on your knees. Your big toes are going to touch, and you're going to send your knees out as wide as your mat, and then sit back onto the heels. So this is just to get a bit of spinal movement going. You'll notice in about 2 seconds how tight you are, because the hands come out forward. And you really want to prioritize this connection between your 2 sit bones and your heels. So if you're really tight this morning, you might be up here. And that's fine. So tuck in the chin a bit. That's going to release any tension in the neck. And now you just start to sink down towards your mat. Every time you exhale, see can you come out just a little bit longer. Keep the forearms off the mat. Spread your fingers really wide. And do your best not to lose that connection between your sit bones and your heels. See again, when you exhale, can you come out just a little bit more? And you'll feel this now in the shoulders, so make sure they're going down the back. Again, make sure those fingers are spread wide. It's really good for the shoulders and the arms. And eventually, you might get your head, your forehead, your nose, or your chin down to the mat. But don't force it, because it's the length of the spine that's so important. Exhale again and just sink down. Good. And then connect really strongly your left sit bone and your left heel, so you come over a little bit onto the side and anchor that. And you're going to walk your hands off to the right side of the mat. Just however far you want to go, and it just brings some stretch into the side body here. If you're tight, you might want to come up really high under the fingertips. That's a good modification to take. Or if you're feeling a bit open, you can go ahead and send them down, but keep your forearms off the mat. And then you just tuck in that chin. And breathe into any tight bits here. And take 5 breaths, and then when you're ready, very slowly walking back to center. Exhale, sink down, and seize the spine a little bit longer now. And we'll repeat on the other side. So you anchor your right sit bone, right heel. Now you just walk those hands off to the right. Exhale. And again, after 5 breaths, just come back to center. And then come to sit on the heels. So bring the knees together and the feet are together. And just sit upright here, and your hands to start are just on your thighs. We're going to move through a little bit of a sequence now, and it's just going to wake up the whole body. So you can always dial it back, but try and stay with me now. So inhale, bring your 2 arms up. Exhale, we're going to come back into that posture we were just in, so come forward here. Now inhale up into table position. So the knees are just under the hips. You've got a nice neutral spine. And then check your hands. See, are those fingers spread wide? And look at your joints. And you want the wrist, the elbow, and the shoulder roughly all in line. And that just protects all your joints. And the head and neck are neutral, so you might just want to rotate that a couple of times. When you're ready to exhale again, curl your back toes under, and we're going to send the hips up high and back into your first dog. So my knees are bent right now because my hamstrings are still a bit tight. You can also walk the feet in a little bit if that helps. You can keep it bent right now. You can even do a bit of movement, right? So you might want to paddle at the feet. So one leg is straight and the other's bent. And then really send those hips up high. Shoulder blades just coming down the back. And then see, can you start to straighten the legs and send the heels down. And they might never reach the mat, and that's okay. But you engage the thighs, and that picks up the kneecap, and that'll straighten the leg, rather than pushing the kneecaps back, which can cause them a lot of strain, especially when you're running. So just inhale and exhale here. One more deep inhalation. And when you're ready to exhale again, bend the knees slightly and then just walk the feet in so that both heels are comfortably on the mat. Send those hips up. And then bend one leg, so I'm going to bend my left leg, and I'm going to send my weight around the 4 corners of my right foot. So this just wakes up the calf. And I'm rotating, so I'm feeling the big toe and my heel, and then back to the little toe, back to the big toe, and then send it around to the other side. You can do this as many times as feels good to you. And then change sides. So really anchor that big toe down on the straight leg and rotate around. So you're just doing a couple of hip circles here. Just say hello to your calf muscle. Good. And then you can step the feet back into dogs, send those hips up really high and straighten the legs. And then take 5 nice deep breaths here. Start to feel a bit of contraction in your core. Start to push up through the arms a bit and send the weight back to the legs. Inhale, exhale. And after your 5 breaths, when you're ready to come down, you inhale, push back into table, so the 2 hands and the 2 feet. Your big toes touch, send the knees out wide, and send your butt back for hair. And just see now as your spine much more open than when we started. And slide your hands to your feet, bring the knees together, and when you inhale, come up high on both knees. Put the hands in the small of the back. When you're ready to exhale, drive the hips forward first. And then take a bit of a back bend, just warming up, so not too deep. When you're ready to move again, the head and neck come up first. So inhale, and then exhale, sitting back onto the heels. So we're going to bring the hips and do it now. We're going to try 3 different variations to wake up the hips. We get into it from the same way, and if one of them seems like it's a bit too much, you can always repeat one of the other ones. The other thing is that you can always pop a knee down at the floor. So if it's feeling like it's too much strain in the calf or the back leg, you can always put a knee down and you're still getting the benefits of that posture. So go ahead and inhale again, bring the arms up. Exhale, coming forward in the hair. Inhale into table. Curl the toes under, exhale up into dog. And I'm going to start with my left leg. So I'm going to draw the left knee up towards the chest. Take an extra breath here if you want for the core. So push the mat away. And then put your foot down between your 2 hands, and you can pop your right knee down right away for this one. I'm going to lift my knee up just a little bit and send it back. Oh, and that's the hip. And go ahead and relax your foot. So square off the hips, make sure they're both pointed at your mat. And then when you're ready, inhale, lift the front body up. Hands down at your sides to start. Exhale, sink down a little bit more. And just roll those shoulders back and take a couple of extra breaths here. And just tell any tight bits to relax. I mentally do it all the time because we're social distancing. You can do it right now aloud and nobody else is going to hear you. So just tell everything to relax. And then inhale, bring the two arms up, interlock your fingers, push the wrists up towards the sky. And when you're ready to exhale, then take a bit of a back bend and then come over to your left side. So good for the lower back. Really breathe into this now. 5 nice deep breaths here. And then come back to center when you're done. Release the arms first. Go ahead and frame the foot. Curl your back toes under. We're going to inhale, push up with the front body up. Send the leg back into dog. Exhale, send the heels to the back of the mat. And we'll repeat it on the other side. So inhale, knee up into the chest. Exhale, the foot and knee come down. Go ahead and get a little bit more room in that hip. Square your hips off. You can even do it here with your 2 hands and make sure that they're going down. And just check your leg. Make sure that knee's not coming too far forward over the ankle. So you might need to adjust that a bit. And then inhale, lift up. Exhale, sinking down. And again, if you feel right to take 5 breaths here, go ahead and do that. Then inhale the arms up. Interlock the fingers. We're going to exhale and then come over to the right this time. And you might really feel this in the hip now. It's good. The hips get so tight from running. And come back to center. Again, let go very gently. Inhale, frame the foot. Pick up the leg. Exhale. Again, I'd encourage you to take 5 breaths in between each one, but we'll move on for this. So you're going to stay on the ball of the right foot now, and you send that left leg up as high as it wants to go into a standing split. And then again, bring that knee into the chest, put the foot down. And for this, we'll start with the knee down. So we're going to leave our right hand where it is, so it's the opposite hand from the foot. Spread those fingers wide. And again, just check your joints. So wrist, elbow, shoulder in a nice line. And we're going to inhale and rotate over to the left. That left arm can come up. You can come onto the hip if the shoulder's a bit tight. And be happy to stay here, or you can look down at the foot, curl the back toes under, and then lift up that right leg. Really engage the thigh here. That'll release your hamstring. And then look up to the sky with that hand. Send the heel to the back of the mat now. And just breathe into anything that's screaming at you. Good, look down at the hand. Knee comes down if it's up. Frame the foot and we'll come back into dog. Exhale the heels back. You can paddle this one out if you want to. Good, and then stay on the ball of the left foot. Inhale that leg up. Draw it into the chest. Foot down and the knee down. And again, square off your hips. Check the alignment on your left hand. And then when you're ready to exhale, open up. I'm going to take my leg up so I look down at the hand. And then bring that leg up. And then look up to the sky. The head always moves last. Just really need to protect that neck from strain. Good, go ahead and look down. The knee comes down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale into dog. And go ahead and paddle it out. So we're going to do pigeon now. If it's a bit much, you can always repeat the other 2, but I'd encourage you to try this anyway. We get into it the same way. So send the leg up. Draw it into the chest. Activate that core. And now you're going to put your left foot behind the right hand and go ahead and pop your knee down. And then you just bring this leg down and you start to walk back on your right leg. It's a lot of work in the hip here. So you might be here. You might be here for years, and that's fine. You might be a bit more open, so you just start to walk that leg back. whatever variation feels right for you. So again, this is fine. And then to get the whole benefit, what I would normally do is I would spend 5 breaths here. Just really breathe into that there, and that will encourage the hip to go down. Make sure that you're not falling over, so you're not going like this. You want those 2 hips to both be pointed at your mat. Sit up nice and tall if that's all right. And then after I do my 5 breaths here, if I feel open enough, come forward onto the forearms. So again, you spread the fingers really wide. You just tuck in that neck. The chin. You tuck in the chin, and that releases the neck. And again, about 5 breaths there. It is a lot of work, and be very careful when you come up. So we come out of it the same way that we got in. And you can curl the back toes under, lift on it back into dog. Again, paddle out dog. And then we'll just change sides, send the right leg up into the chest. And then put the foot down, and you put the knee down right away. You want to square this leg off as much as possible. So you have a look at the ankle, and just make sure there's not a lot of wrinkles in the ankle. It's almost like you got a boot on. And then you just start to open up that hip, so walk that other leg back. You might be more open on one side or the other. So sit up nice and tall, and that's okay. And again, if you're here, that's fine. Just whatever feels right for you. You certainly don't want to injure anything. So take your 5 breaths here. And then if it feels okay and you want to come forward, you can do another 5 breaths here. And very slowly coming out the same way that we got in, so you come back up, curl the toes under, and you just lift up back into dog. I like to paddle it out here. And again, I like to spend about 5 breaths in dog, but we'll keep it moving for now. So go ahead and bend your knees just slightly. And then you look out past the hands. So if you're using a mat, you just look at the front of your mat. And now you can tiptoe in. We're going to move to the front of the mat. We're going to give the hamstrings a bit of work. You can step 1 foot in front of the other. Don't lift your hands. So 1 foot, try and keep the legs straight. You just walk up. When your hands feel like they're about to lift, you've gone far enough. So just adjust the feet, and then come up onto the fingertips, and then take a forward fold here. If the hands don't reach the ground, again, you can use bricks and blocks. You can stick them on the legs. It doesn't matter how far down you go, it's just good for the hamstrings. Really pick up the kneecaps, engage the thighs. Wherever your hands are, that's okay. And then micro bend the knees here. Come up onto the fingertips, and you can just waddle your feet out a bit. So come about hip width distance. If the hamstrings are still really tight, you can go a bit wider, that's okay. Put the hands on the waist, and we're just going to do a couple of forward folds here again for the hamstrings. So you can repeat any variation, or you can stay with me. So you bend the knees a bit. We don't ever want to go over a straight leg. Inhale, really grow long through the spine. Tuck that chin in just a bit to release the neck. Bend the knees as you come forward. Send the hips back. And when you get about halfway down, see where the hands want to go. So you might need bricks and blocks here. You might be able to come to the mat, or you might need to use the legs. There's no wrong answer. If your hands come to the floor, you want them just in front of the feet. Fingers spread really wide. And then as you exhale, you just start to tuck in. So if you feel open enough, you bend the elbows, and that's what's going to take your head to the floor. If you're up here, it's fine. You're still getting the benefit from the legs. But wherever you are, you pick up those kneecaps. So activate the thigh muscles. Pick up the kneecaps, and that's going to release your hamstrings. So take your 5 breaths here. And be happy to repeat this, or bend the knees a bit, and you can take what's called the yoga grip. So it's your first 2 fingers, and you curl them around the big toe from the inside. So you take that grip around the toe, and then the thumbs just kind of rest on the pad of the toe. And then you get into it the same way. So if the arms are straight and this is where you are, that's okay. feel a bit more open, you just bend the elbows and that'll take you down. It's so good for the hamstrings. Just breathe into this now. And tip the weight forward just a little bit. On your 5 breaths, straighten up through the arms. Bend the knees just a bit. Again, feel free to repeat any of those that we've done before. Or if you feel really open today, go ahead and let go of the toes. And then you put your hands under your feet. And the wrists go into the mat. And this just gets you in a bit deeper. So again, straight arms is fine. You would just tuck in that head. Or if you're really open, you can just start to bend through the arms. And that's a whole different thing for the hamstrings. They're probably screaming at you. You might be screaming at me. That's fine, because nobody can hear you. Just enjoy this if you're here. And then after your 5 breaths, straighten up. Very gently let go of the hands so you bend the knees as you come out. Hands come to your waist. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, step to the front of your mat. And again, I would just encourage you to spend a couple of moments here, maybe even close your eyes. Take a couple of deep breaths again. So, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I hope that felt as good for you as it did for me. And enjoy the rest of your day. Namaste.